Okay guys, reversing a linked list. This is number 206 on LeetCode. Very popular interview question. You'll hear a lot about this one. So I'm going to be explaining it on a whiteboard, but first I'm going to be doing my solution in the coding window on LeetCode. So I'm going to start off by defining a variable called previous. This will be set to null. Then I'm going to create a while loop, and while head is not null, we are going to do our process of reversing. So our reversal process will start out by creating a variable called next, in which we will save the next node. Just save a copy of it for later. And now we're actually going to reverse this node by pointing it towards our previous. So head.next equals previous. So essentially, if our head is 1, head.next is 2, as the arrow points to 2 in the picture. But if we set head.next to previous, you can think about it like we're flipping the arrow around and pointing it towards whatever behind this, which is null. Okay, so that's basically all we really do to actually reverse it. But now we need to advance along through our linked list. So we'll do this by setting previous to our current head and setting our head to the next one. And obviously we want to use the actual next one, which in this case is 2. And that's why we saved the copy, because as you can see here, we set the next node to be the previous one in order to reverse it. And if we set the head to the previous, that's just not going to work. So this is really all we need to do. Now we just need to return previous. And if I go ahead and run this, it will accept it. There we go. Okay, but now let's actually talk about how this works. Okay, everybody, now we're on our whiteboard, so we're actually going to demonstrate how this code works. Okay, let's start. So we start off our function by defining a variable called previous, and this is equal to null. So we can just mark this as an X, and we're going to place it behind the 1 in our linked list. Really it's not actually a part of our linked list, but we're just pretending it is for the sake of this problem. So really it's just a null variable, and we're just gonna put it right there behind the 1. And we're gonna mark this as previous, just so it's a little easier to keep track of everything. Next, we start our loop, and inside our loop, we have let next equals head.next. So we're defining a variable called next, and this is equal to the next node of our head. So if our head is 1, head.next will be 2. So we're essentially just saving a copy of this. Just to visualize it, we're just going to create a little node here, just off in space, just to remember that we have it saved. So it's just sitting down there in space. And now we are going to actually reverse this node. So if head.next equals previous, so head.next right now is 2 because the next node after our head is 2. And if we set head.next equal to previous, you can think about it like we're just reversing this arrow. So we're basically just doing that, right? I'm going to see if I can cover this up. Just hide that arrow. Okay, so now rather than pointing to the 2, it is pointing to the previous. So this doesn't really work as it is, because, as you can see, there's nothing pointing to the 2. And we're not done yet. So now we actually need to advance through our linked list. So this is the point of our loop. We're trying to iterate through the entire linked list. And we advance ahead by setting previous equal to head. So if previous is equal to head, our previous will be 1 because our head is currently 1. And then we're setting head equal to next. So head will become 2. And remember that we saved the copy of this. So next is the copy that we saved earlier on. So that will in fact be 2. Rather than it being whatever we changed it to, which was previous. So keep in mind we're setting it to the copy that we made earlier on. Okay, so now we're just going to repeat this process because head is not null. As you can see, it's a node. So we start off by saving a copy of head.next, which is 3. We go ahead and set head.next to be the previous, which is 1. So go ahead, that's still white, we want this. Go ahead, reverse that arrow. We don't want it pointing to 3, we want it pointing to our previous. Then we're going to iterate along. So previous is equal to head, and head is equal to the next that we saved, right? Again, make a copy, point it to the previous, right? And then move along. Once again, point it away, point it away, and move along. There we go. Now we are on our last one. We're almost there. So if we save head.next right now, it's going to be null because there is nothing left, right? Ahead of 5, there is nothing. So, right, there's no arrow there. It doesn't really point to anything right now, but we're still going to set head.next to point to the previous. It's just rather than redirecting it, we're just setting head.next to be 4. Nothing changed. I explained that kind of weirdly. We're still just setting head.next to be the previous. And then once again, gonna move along. Now you'll notice head is null, so our loop would break here because head is null. And we're gonna go to return previous. So if you look at this, I'm gonna get rid of this x because it might be kind of confusing. X just represents a null variable. That we made earlier on. So as you can see, our head is null and our previous is here. So if we go ahead and return previous, this is a head of a new linked list, which starts on 5, and then it points to 4, and then 3, and then 2, and then 1, and then it ends. As you can see, our original is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now it is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? If we really reverse this so it's in the correct order, that's what it'll look like. It's just starting on the right-hand side. So yeah, that is how you reverse a linked list iteratively. I hope this explanation helped. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.